Hello, everybody. Today I am talking about Mercury in Scorpio. It is going to go into Scorpio on 23rd of October and remains there till 25th of December. So it's a long transit, but Mercury is not just going to be in Scorpio. It is going to retrograde in Scorpio, come back to Libra, then go forward to Scorpio again. But it has got a very unusual retrograde this time. And this happens rarely, sometimes after 4 years, or it can happen after 13 years. So I'm going to talk about that and how it affects us and how to deal with the retrograde. Hello, this is Komila Sutton, and we are talking about Mercury in Scorpio. So, three important things are happening to Mercury in Scorpio. Firstly, it is going to go into Scorpio, retrograde back, and it is going to be in Libra. So this is not a total Scorpio transit. So it'll go into Scorpio and on 23rd and then retrograde on 31st of October. The second most important aspect of this transit is that Mercury is going to have a special retrograde, which is called the transit of Mercury. It is like an eclipse. Instead of going behind the sun, it will go in front of the sun. And finally, it has combustion as well. And the combustion is getting too close to the sun, so it has a conjunction with the sun as well. So, what are the main factors and how to deal with it, of course? And as usual, now I'm looking at all the signs where Mercury will be affecting and how it is affecting. Most important thing I want to talk about is this transit of Mercury. So officially, this is called a transit of Mercury. It is very rare, and it is when Mercury goes in front of the sun. So normally Mercury, when it transits and goes close to the sun and it combusts with the sun, it is traveling behind the sun. So it is not visible, it's burnt out. But this year is a rare year, and on 11th of November, Mercury will go in front of the sun. And after that, the next conjunction is going to be in the same energy is going to be 2032. So for Mercury to go in front of the sun is very rare. That means our thinking is more dominant. If you're Gemini, Virgo, this is a very special time for you. So 11th of November, if you want to see the transit, it is not really visible by the naked eye because Mercury is considered to be eclipsing the sun. But the eclipse, Mercury is so tiny, we don't see it by the naked eye. But what we can see, if you go on a website like NASA, you'll be able to see that. Now, that is a exact Mercury-Sun conjunction on 11th of November. And here, as I said, that Mercury is going in front of the sun. So that is unusual to say the least. And this transit of Mercury can only happen around 10th of November or around 7th, 8th of May. It doesn't happen at other times. So there's a certain angle that takes place. So this year it is 11th of November 2019, and Mercury is the closest to the sun. That means it's near the sun, and but in front of the sun. So it is dominating, powerful. It can indicate some issues with the people in power because the sun is being dominated by Mercury. So Mercury is the intellectuals, the press, the journalists. So I would say that the people in power, the presidents and the prime ministers and people in big jobs should be careful about journalists. That is one aspect of this transit. But if you're Gemini and Virgo, then you can enjoy this dominance as well. So that is a rare aspect for you. Now, the second thing about this Mercury in Scorpio, Libra transit, really, you can say that Mercury goes into Scorpio, and it will go for a few days and retrogrades back on 31st. Before the retrograde on 30th of October, there is a war of Mercury with Venus. These wars happen quite often, but there is when two friends fight, they can be aggravation, little squabble on small things, on big things, but it only lasts one day. So 30th, and then Mercury retrogrades on 31st, and it moves backward, and it is not going to get any further aggravation. But then Mercury retrogrades back, and then on 7th of December, on 7th of November, Mercury will come back to Libra, where on 11th it conjoins with the Sun. And it has this unusual transit in front of the Sun, which I spoke about earlier. And the retrograde lasts till 20th of November. And generally with retrograde planets, you need to double check all your appointments, double check if you're traveling, what happens. Usually I always find I miss an appointment, and keep a tight lid on how you speak, because it is very easy to say the wrong thing and to get yourself into a difficult position. So be conscious about that, and be careful. What I do is I watch for the start of the retrograde. So I would advise you to do that 31st of October. Then the middle of the retrograde, which is this year, is rather special because that's when Mercury is exactly conjunct the Sun. And then finally around the 20th, because that it finishes its retrograde. Those are the key dates to remember. But overall, I put it in my diary. And so I know that Mercury is retrograde. So I'm always conscious about appointments and things like that. Then Mercury is also getting combust because it gets very close to the Sun. But because I feel this is a bit different combustion, because Mercury is not hidden behind the Sun. It is going in front of the Sun, very close to the Sun. But it is important still, if you're Gemini Virgo, to take some time out. You may feel burnt out. And the other aspect of Mercury being very close to the Sun is that it is going to be moving very fast. So it moves fast, and therefore our thinking is going too fast, and we are thinking too much ahead, and we can burn ourselves out because we exhaust ourselves by overdoing our thinking, overdoing things. So just to be conscious of it. We'll retrograde back out of Scorpio into Libra on 7th of November. And then on 4th of December, it goes back to Scorpio and remains there till 25th of December. Mercury will then move to Sagittarius to meet up with that grand eclipse, but it's not in Scorpio. Now, generally, Mercury is not the best placed in Scorpio because it is in enemy sign. It doesn't like Mars energy. It's too intuitive, too spiritual. But Mercury is also having a parivartana yoga with Mars, because Mars is in Virgo, Mercury is in Scorpio. So they're exchanging signs. And this is called a parivartana yoga. I made a video about parivartana yoga, and I will put a link there. Parivartana means change. So one planet is in the other planet's sign. So they do each other's job. But certain signs will experience this yoga much more positively than the other signs. So I will talk about that as I do the transit report for all signs of how Mercury is affected by that. So from 23rd to 7th of November, this Parivartana Yoga is on. So a lot of activity taking place, changes, activity, and especially around the end of the month, early next month also, Jupiter's in Gandanta, Mercury is doing Parivartana, there's a war between Venus and Mercury. So you see lots of things happening, not as tough as what we were experiencing earlier in 2019, but these things have an ability to aggravate our situation. So we need to be conscious of it. And so Mercury in Scorpio, how does it affect you? That is the key thing, and how the signs deal with it. And it isn't really all in Scorpio, because it's partly in Libra, partly in Scorpio. It's up to connecting with everything. And one important thing all of you should remember is that Mercury is very easily influenced. So, we can, any conjunction of Mercury, it can feel that's what it wants. So when it's with Venus, it's happy. In Scorpio, it will become like Scorpio, very intense, very angry even. And sometimes with Scorpio, there's a tendency to want to strike at somebody. So you have to be careful. So, as Mercury leaves Scorpio, it is going to go through the Scorpio Gandanta. And this Scorpio Gandanta is going to be quite active because we've already had Jupiter go through it. And then Mercury will go through the Gandanta, and Venus and Sun. So, 24th, 25th is a very karmic time. And also to remember that that is the time when we have the eclipse happening on 26th. So I'll make a separate video for the eclipse. I had done one on Gandanta, so I'm going to share that with you. You can look at it. Now, when we are looking at how this transit affects you, firstly, you have to see that Mercury is going to be both in Scorpio as well as in Libra, because it retrogrades back into Libra. So, and then secondly, the Parivartana Yoga between Mars and Mercury is only happening up to 7th of November. After that, then Mars moves on and Mercury comes back into Scorpio, but it is not creating a Parivartana Yoga at all. It is important to note that not of other planets are influencing. So when I look at these transits, these are only one specific planet. It's not the global picture, because the global picture I give in my monthly news, all signs. So you can look at that of how all the other planets are also affecting. So that is a key thing. Secondly, always look at the transit from your Lagna and from the moon sign. Those are the two points of reference that you're looking at. And Lagna is more your physical, what you can see. A moon is your mind, how your mind gets affected. And if both are positive, it's great. If one is positive, the other is not, then you'll see a 50-50 effect, because we don't have like a perfect life anyway. We get affected by things. So be aware of that. So Aries, firstly, Mercury is not the best planet for you. And so Mercury is going to be in the 8th house. And at the start of this transit, Mars is in the 6th house. So the Parivartana Yoga is between 6th and 8th house. So this is not very positive energy. And you are making mistakes, it's creating some changes for you. And so I would say that take life carefully, be restrained up to 7th of the November. Mercury goes back in Libra from 7th of November to 4th December. So, then it's all about relationships. And then when it goes back into Scorpio, it's focusing on research, on hidden areas of life, on other people's finances. You may get some unexpected money as well at this time. But as he is not your ascendant ruler, it's not that much as a strong effect, not your moon ruler as well. For Taurus, the Scorpio transit is in the 7th house of relationships, so that is quite positive. And Mars, as we start, is in Virgo, so it's creating a Mahaparivartana Yoga. Mahaparivartana Yoga is extremely positive. I'm putting a link on these Parivartana Yogas. You can listen to them because there are different types of yogas, but this can bring an opportunity, creativity, ideas, some good stuff happening to you. And then on 7th of November till 4th December, Mercury retrogrades back into Libra, and you may find your tension about your competition, how people are blocking you. You may find yourself feeling a little bit blocked. And then again from 4th December to 25th, Mercury is back into your 7th house, and relationships become more prominent. As far as Gemini is concerned, Mercury is your Lagna Lord, so this transit is most affecting you. So the war on 30th, the retrograde on 31st, then the Parivartana Yoga till the 7th. That Parivartana is between the 6th house and the 4th house. This is not a good Parivartana Yoga, keeps you unsettled, unsure. But coming on to the 11th, when the transit of Mercury is happening in front of the sun, you come into your own strength. And Mercury is in Libra as well, your 5th house of creativity. Then on 4th of December, when Mercury goes back to Scorpio, it's a good idea for you to think about your health. And annually, Mercury will be in Scorpio once a year. So for you, just plan your health, healing, don't get aggravated during that transit, and watch for the Gandanta on 25th, because that is an unsettled time. Don't plan any important events during that time. Cancer, Mercury is going through your 5th house in Scorpio, and then when it retrogrades back to Libra, that is your 4th house. So those are both good houses for you. 5th house is creativity, children. Definitely focus on children, on higher mind, on higher thinking, mantras. And when it retrogrades back on the 7th, it's in the 4th house. The Parivartana Yoga is not so positive because it's between 3rd and 5th house. That is a Kala Parivartana Yoga. So it can create some obstacle due to your own effort. It is still 7th of November, so just watch out for that. So for Leo, the Mercury rules both houses of money. So it is about financial issues. Mercury is transiting your 4th house. So 4th house is positive for you. And Mars is in Virgo, which is the 2nd house. So this Parivartana between 2nd and 4th, this is a Mahaparivartana Yoga, very positive financial opportunities, especially connected to property and home affairs. However, be careful not to be over greedy or expect too much out of it. But it's a short transit, so it gives some good result. And then Mercury retrogrades back into your third house. So definitely you're thinking about what to do next, what are your initiative, confidence. Those aspects are there that are highlighted. For Virgo, Mercury is again the Lagna Lord in the third house. So Virgo loves to plan and organize and everything. And the Mars is in the Lagna. Mars is pushing you to do things, and Mercury is in Mars house. But the Parivartana is a Kala Parivartana, not a positive one. And it is all actions may not be as productive as you think they are. So I would say to avoid till the 7th of November to do any action that you can, just stay where you are. And then after that, when Mercury retrogrades back into Libra, it's the second house, it is going to go in front of the sun. It is very powerful. And of course, retrograde dates, just watch out. I already told you that retrograde can mess up your communication, but most of the time is in Libra. And then when Mercury goes back into Scorpio on 4th of December, then you are being cautious about not being aggressive about your moves and not forcing yourself to do things until you have totally decided what you want to do. And the other thing is this, that the Gandanta on 25th of December, that affects you most. So then be careful around that day. Actually, the dates 25th to 26th, 27th, not very settled for everybody. So, but for you, it's more so because Mercury itself will be in Gandanta. So as far as Libra is concerned, Mercury is going into the second house of money. It's going to retrograde there. But Mars is in the 12th house. So Libra has to be careful about expenses. And this Parivartana Yoga till 7th of November can create some kind of loss as well, or overspending money. So if you're planning to spend money, be very cautious about it around that time. Restrain yourself. Why do things at the time when the planets are not supporting it? And then Mercury will get back from Scorpio on 7th and then remains in the Lagna, which is generally a positive transit for you and supportive transit for you. And 4th of December onwards, Mercury is focusing on money and finances. And I feel that's the thing to think about. How you want to save, what you want to do, more positive energy for you. Then Scorpio. Scorpio is having a Mahaparivartana Yoga up to 7th of November because Mars is in their 11th house and Mercury is in the Lagna. So this is a good time, especially financially, also to take any action you want to do, because it's like Mars has come into your Lagna. But after the 7th, when Mercury goes back to Libra, then it can be an expensive time because Sun will also be there and Mercury is also there. And so watch your expenses. Don't be in a rush to spend. As I said, wait till Sun comes into Scorpio. But it is important that you keep a control. Whereas spiritually, this can be very good if you're thinking about spiritual things, about traveling, going abroad, then these things can be good opportunities for you. Mercury in Scorpio is going into the 12th house. So you're thinking expenses, losses, self-realization, foreign travels. That is the ideas that you're getting. But as it retrogrades, it will go back to your 11th house, which is more finances and things. So you can wait till 7th of December for that. But right at the beginning, Mercury is doing Parivartana with your 10th house. So there can be possibility of some sudden change in your work environment because Mars is in the 10th house, Mercury is in the 12th, and unexpected upheaval or change. You may have to make some adjustments there. So be careful if you're thinking, I want to give up my job. This is not the best time to do it. And wait till the transits become more productive for you. 7th, Mercury will go back retrograde back to your 11th house. By 8th, Jupiter's out of Gandanta as well. So there are better opportunities for you. And then later on, after 4th of December, Mercury goes into Scorpio again highlighting expenses and loss and giving things, making effort, but not getting reward. So the idea is that make the effort, don't have expectation for now, because always if you make the effort, you will get the reward. So not to worry about that. Capricorn, Mercury in Scorpio is in your 11th house. Mars in Virgo is in your 9th house. So this is a Mahaparivartana yoga till 7th of it's going to give some opportunity, financial opportunity for you, some good luck coming your way, because the link between the 9th and the 11th house is taking place between Mars and Mercury. And then when Mercury retrogrades back, it's going to retrograde back to the 10th house, which is also a good position, 9th Lord in the 10th house. And then it goes back to Scorpio after 4th December, which is your 11th house. So that is quite productive for you. Only problem you are facing is that as yet, Saturn is in your 12th house. So Saturn is making you do effort and not giving results. So sometimes you can see things are happening but not happening. And that is because of Saturn's position, not because of the position of Mercury and Mars. They are both wanting to give stuff to you. And Aquarius, Mercury in Scorpio is in the 10th house. So work is very important for you. However, up to 7th, Mars is in your 8th house. So you may find that there is some change and it is unexpected. You are not thinking about it. You may find that you have to travel for work. There may be some upheaval, restructuring as far as work is concerned. So just go with awareness. Although Jupiter is well placed, Saturn is in the 11th house, so you have a lot more support than Capricorn has. So you may feel more supported here. Then finally, Pisces, the Mercury in Scorpio is in the 9th house. So you're thinking higher education, higher learning. And Mars, which is your 9th Lord, is in the 7th house. This is a Mahaparivartana yoga. So pretty positive for you. And then when Mercury goes into Libra after the 7th of November, goes into your 8th house. So 8th house is not the best energy. You can spend time researching, looking at deeper matters. But as he's your 7th house ruler in the 8th, it can be those in relationship can be a bit unsteady time for you. So, don't rock the boat. Just allow the situation to continue as it is. However, because Jupiter is well placed and he's in a good position, that is good for you. Now, coming after 4th of December, Mercury goes into the 9th house. So education, learning, teaching, advising, good luck is opportunities are there. The most important thing to remember about this Mercury transit is that it is going into 2 different signs, and you have to keep a look out for how they affect you, and also then combine together with all the other things, and then you get the final picture. So all the best. Do remember to subscribe and also share the videos, And I shall see you soon. Thank you.